welcome back to another Daily Walk. Well, today we're going to spend some time talking about where to find teaching. See, I have this friend that has a big commute, and he was talking to me today on the commute because he couldn't find good teaching on the radio. And so he wanted to know, why is it that you can't really find good teaching on Christian on the radio anymore? And what he always finds is he can find, scanning through the AM stations, he can always find Catholic channels, and the Catholic channels are always teaching. Always teaching. You find the Christian channels, the Protestant channels, and these channels, it's all music, and in my personal opinion, sappy music. And he's like, why is this? And I said, well, I think the biggest problem, there's a few big challenges. Number one is that we as Christians, as people, as Americans, as Westerners, we are just purely addicted to entertainment. We don't want to sit there and listen to a guy challenging us, challenging our presuppositions, challenging our life, challenging our faith. We want to listen to something that makes us feel good and feel happy. And so what has happened is the K-Love channels have taken over effectively the Protestant stations, and nearly every quasi-Christian channel is K-Love, which is all a bunch of songs, and that's it. Hard to find any solid teaching on the radio anymore. And that what you do find is Catholic. And the Catholics might be that, Christian branch that actually still takes this seriously. And that's a sad statement, because the reality is we need teaching, we need being fed, we need gain perspectives, we need to understand the scriptures. And as we approach this topic, we have to remember this. All of the other different faiths, whether they cults, true faiths, false faiths, I'm not sure where you place all these ones we've talked about already, but take a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon. These people know their Bibles. Your average Jehovah's Witness or your average Mormon can put a standard run-of-the-mill Protestant Christian in a theological pretzel in about 5 seconds. You guys don't know how to deal with it when the Jehovah's Witness comes in and their Bible says in John 1, the Word was with God and the Word was a God. What? No, the Word was God. That's what the actual Greek says. He uses the article there meaning God, the real God, the complete God, not a God as they have translated it. But the reality is that your Jehovah's Witnesses know far more about their theology than your Protestant Christians do. The ones that supposedly have the truth. All right, and then of course your Catholics, they know far more about it than the Protestants do, because they spend some time in teaching. Mormons, Muslims, these guys take their faith, they take their religious book, they take their religion, their church attendance, they take it seriously, and they go in and they learn what it is. And all we can do in the Christian churches is, Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. I don't care if he's welcome here or not, he's here. He's here, people. He's here already. And then that brings up another point that I was mentioning. You realize if you go into your typical run-of-the-mill church and they're singing their praise and worship songs, then you realize how many of those are from Hillsong. Count that next time you go to your church. How many of those are Hillsong? You guys know who Hillsong is? They are, I think, an Australian ministry. They are a health and wealth gospel ministry. It's the same camp as Joel Osteen. They are infiltrating the Protestant church, infiltrating the radio stations, infiltrating all this with a message that is not the true message of Christ. Infiltrating it with the false gospel of the health and wealth gospel. That is not right. That is not right at all. And so I echo my friend's sentiments, but I'm always a solutions-based person. Am I just railing on the church? The church is dead. No. We're going to stop. Because I'm going to tell you that we need to have good, solid Christian teaching. So what do we do when we can't find it on the radios? Well, if you're driving in a car in a commute, and I ask you, does your car have a CD player? No matter what your car has. If it has a radio, you can get a little device. They cost like 10 or 20 bucks. You can find them in a lot of different places. And this device will broadcast a shortwave radio. You can actually set it to a radio station in your car. You can plug in an MP3 player, a phone, or whatever you have, and play it. And it's going to transmit that signal, and your radio can pick it up. You also might have a tape player or a CD player. You might have an MP3 CD player. And a lot of your modern cars, they'll have Bluetooth connections. They'll have cables to plug in. There are a lot of options, but the difference is that now you're going to have to take a little bit more effort and download the sermons that you want to listen to. So there's a lot of things. Now, of course, in this trend, stop looking for the Christian music stations, I would say, because they're getting too hard to find, and those that you do find, some of them have teaching. Now, I'm saying this from State College, where we actually do have a decent Christian radio program. We have a K-Love here, but we have another local one that does do more teaching. Although some people I've asked today have even said, yeah, I think they play too much music for me too. I don't know. I don't really listen to it a lot. But the bottom line is, if you need your teaching, you need to seek it out. The good news is with our day is that our modern day, you can go and download a lot of sermons for free. All right, or you can get on these pastors' mailing lists. John MacArthur at gty.org. All of his sermons are free. Rock solid sound theology, about an hour per sermon typically. So, get a few of those and you're pretty good. Put it on your MP3 player, put it on your phone, put it on a CD, on a disc, get yourself a disc burner. You can burn it on disc so you can listen to them in the car. So that's what you're going to want to do. Moody Church Media, Erwin Lutzer, all of his are free. I think Piper's are. I don't follow Piper's ministry as much. It's a good one. I just don't follow it much. I think you can download his for free. Ligonier, you may be able to do those. Alistair Begg, you may be able to get those. Ravi Zacharias, I'm pretty sure you can get all his for free because those were the first ones I knew of that were free a decade ago. I imagine they still are. The point is, you're going to have to find those. Now, the other option you might not think as much about is if you go to a local church that has good sound teaching and you want to listen to it, see if they're putting their sermons on either a podcast or on a Christian audio. If they're not, guys, think about putting your church's sermons on a podcast. If they're recording them at all, putting it on a podcast feed is extraordinarily simple. And basically what you can do is find people who are podcasting or podcasting from your churches, local churches, whatever else it is. Get yourself that feed, which you can simply grab it online. It's a little bit less elegant. You can grab it online just by entering the podcast feed into the URL bar of your browser. You can download the sermons from there. If you have a device like a phone, or if you're doing it on an MP3 player, a lot of these will have the ability to input that feed, or on your computer, you can tell it to input the feed, download the thing, you just transfer it over to your device. So there's a lot of options to listen to good, sound, solid teaching. So two take-home message. Number one, don't be encumbered by the pleasure and the enjoyment and the entertainment value. Okay, we are in a war zone, folks, and we have to know our theology. We better know our theology better than the Mormons and better than Jehovah's Witnesses, who have taken scriptures and rewritten it for their own theological ends. We don't want to be doing that, but we want to actually have our faith challenged in many ways with good, solid, and sound teaching. And by the way, this series, the Daily Walk series, is a podcast. It is on iTunes, it is on Google, it is on Spotify, there's a direct feed to it, it is on TuneIn. I don't know of a place that has podcast feeds where this podcast feed is not. So you can download and listen to these. Of course, this one we don't do quite as much rock solid teaching as we do more philosophy type, Christian philosophy type stuff. My other study, which are solid teaching, those will be on podcast eventually. I just need to get caught up on these ones first. And then those will be podcasts. So keep that in mind, okay? Keep it in mind that there are a lot of ways to get teaching. If the radio doesn't have anything, you got to look for other options. That means you're going to go online, you're going to get podcast feeds, or, worst case, join some mailing lists for these pastors, and they will send you books, CDs, sermons. They might sometimes DVDs, a variety of different things. The fact of the matter is take initiative for yourself and get the teaching and the studying and the learning that you need. Don't rely on the radio station to have it. Don't necessarily rely on your local church to provide it. You got to go out there, find your teaching, find solid preaching, and learn and grow. Remember that verse in Romans, transform yourself by the renewing of your mind. Your mind is going to get renewed when you start inputting good, solid Christian teaching into your head. So that's what I want to talk about here today. You can help support this podcast and this channel and all wherever else you're reading this or hearing this, whatever, in the links below. Take a look at the books on the website. Presently, I have Testing and Temptations and Art of Shallow Neighboring. Art of Shallow Neighboring is right now, as of today, being rolled out to all of your different audiobook distributors as well. There are some Audible links. And check the website under Art of Shallow Neighboring, and you will see all of the places I know of you can pick it up over there. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy your daily walk in our Lord.